welcome to the podcast, everyone. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with the incredibly talented Alex. I believe it's pronounced Whorms.
Whorms, like I'm warm, I'm not cold.
Whorms, right?
Yeah.
She's a singer, songwriter, and screen composer. Wow, Jackie of all trades. So, the thing with Alex is she's carved out a unique space in the music world with her genre-defying sound. I like the sound, actually. I love your Christmas one. Like
Thank you.
this Christmas is only you and me. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Um, so from her piano, she effortlessly blends elements of pop, jazz, soul, rock, classical, and folk, creating music that is both diverse and deeply personal. Now, Alex has 3 EPs, several singles, and a Hamilton Arts Award to her name, which is only like a 45-minute drive from here. Alex has also captivated audiences across Canada and beyond. And her work as a screen composer includes soundtracks for the 2023 documentary Beyond the Podium, celebrating Canadian women champions, and the 2021 documentary Why Didn't I Leave, which premiered at the Hamilton Film Festival. Good job. Additionally, she has appeared on national and regional television programs such as City TV, my favorite, CHCH TV, Morning Live, and Cable 14's Christmas at the Westdale, and Ensemble. Thank you for joining us on the show, Alex. We are so thrilled to speak to you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And being festive with both wearing red, but I'm wearing the festive hat and she's not.
You know, I've got it ready right over there. Should I? Hold on. I almost forgot. Let's see if I can make this happen.
How's that gonna happen?
Gonna work? Is it gonna
That work? Oh wow, look at that.
I'll try.
Okay, Alex, it looks like this is gonna have to be a Christmas episode, so this is gonna be posted around this time. Sorry.
Perfect.
You figured out the trick.
I just have to try very hard to balance it and make sure my
like-
posture is good. Just does it look photoshopped? It looks photoshopped. That's okay. That's okay. It looks like an Instagram filter.
Yeah, it looks great, Alex. I really appreciate it. Oh, I'm having fun already. Oh, it fell off. Okay, that's it. We're done. Okay, that's just joking. Well, you know, I have a hat here too. Did you want me to wear mine as well?
Oh, you can wear whatever you want. I think your hat is
okay. I'll
great.
leave it, but I do have yeah, that's okay. Good.
It's a good style choice. Yeah.
I actually wanted to put a hat on, and I grabbed it. It was a stocking.
You grabbed a stocking?
Stocking on my head.
No, that would be a bold choice.
So, yes. So thank you so much. It's so good to meet you, and I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. So ecstatic. Wow, what a talent you are. And your song this Christmas, It's Only You and Me, the official video is awesome video. I can't wait to ask you about how that's put together. Alex, I want to ask you, what inspired you to start composing music? Like whatever, like why?
Well, it's an interesting question. It just kind of happened very organically. I remember I was that classical piano kid from a very young age. I loved my piano lessons, which wasn't the most common thing for a 7-year-old kid, I guess. But just the instrument really hooked me from an early age, and around 11, 12, I also got into musical theater, became a huge interest of mine. So I started performing in community theater. And it was around then when I started singing in theater, and really, I was just, there's something about Broadway music that just really, really grabs me. I was actually listening to the Wicked movie soundtrack just this morning and like bawling my eyes out. There's something about hearing the music from the musicals I was performing in and thinking about the characters' feelings and all of these, just making those connections between emotion and music. It was around the time that I started getting really into musicals that my I just kind of started having ideas. It was never a conscious choice. It just started happening. And most days I would get off the school bus, kind of starting in like 8th grade around there. And I'd come home and I'd go to practice piano. But first I would have to explore a little musical idea that had occurred to me on the bus ride home. And it just turned into kind of a journaling exercise for me, and something that helped me to reflect on my day, or just do something creative and satisfying. And yeah, I never stopped. And eventually I had just written so many songs that I felt interested in performing them, and one thing led to another. And I've been able to turn it into a little career over here. So
Yeah, love your music.
Mhm.
It's excellent, especially "I'll Be Home for Christmas," and you did a few covers on here, and the
Mm,
Christmas morning video. That
yes, yeah.
excellent, all Christmas videos. Alex, so like, how do you describe your unique sound? Because this has certainly quite a lot of different types of sound to it, and I love the vibe.
Definitely, yeah. It's a tough question, and it kind of it's changed, every release, really. Every I would say I started like the first songs I released were kind of like a folk pop kind of thing. And this Christmas, It's Only You and Me. The new song is definitely funk pop. um, it took a turn, but a lot of it is very, I would say, indie folk kind of. It's difficult. Like if we wanted to, I'm scared to really try. We could just call it singer-songwriter and leave it at that, I think.
Well,
Yeah, it's a struggle. I've had so many genres of music that I heard from a young age, from classical to like 80s rock to the Broadway to the movie soundtracks. I Yeah, I cannot seem to narrow myself down to one style. I just like to take a song idea and produce it in a way that whatever seems to best serve the meaning of the song. So that's a very confusing answer. I'm sorry.
that's fine. I love it. I'm actually looking in the back, and I see you got a lot of different types of guitars there. Like you got some
I
Gibsons, maybe
do.
Taylors, and
I have I have a Taylor GS mini guitar, so I bought that. I bought all of these during COVID, except the violin I actually stole from my dad. He wasn't playing it anymore. He did not mind. But yeah, the guitar, the bass, and the ukulele were COVID instruments.
Mm.
I had a lot of fun just trying to learn the basics on a lot of instruments during that time. I was also working on trumpet. The trumpet I haven't been able to continue practicing, unfortunately, but um, yeah, I do gig on the acoustic guitar now, as well as piano and singing, which has been great. And bass is really just for fun for me. I think the most I've done on bass was throw a couple easy parts on like a film score or something, but still working on that.
And what about the violin? Do you know how to play the violin, or you just like it up there?
I play it for fun, but the only person who enjoys my violin playing is my cat, so
That's
I
awesome,
won't
Alex.
play any violin for you today.
That's awesome. So, what do you think? Which artists do you think have influenced your music the most?
I would say Regina Spektor, probably, as well as Sarah Slean, who grew up in the same town that I did, Pickering.
Yeah.
Um, just hearing and actually discovering their music was a big deal for me because as I mentioned, I loved classical piano. I liked the intricacy of it. I liked the emotion of it. And I really, as a teenager, um, I I really struggled trying to connect with pop music that was coming out at the time, like in the 2010s.
Hmm.
I found it was, that was like the height of Katy Perry was on a lot at
Hmm.
the time, and I can super appreciate all those songs now, by the way, that I've studied songwriting. But at the time when they were coming out, I felt like I could not relate to this. This did not inspire me at all, the same way that Beethoven or Chopin did. It felt too oversimplified for me at the time, and it felt to me like it lacked emotional depth. And so when I heard Sarah Slean's music, she was the first one. For anyone who's familiar with her, her lyrics are very poetic.
Hmm.
Um, and the piano parts are complex and emotional, and there's so much just emotional information given to you in the arrangements of the piano parts. There's also a lot of strings in there, which I love, and it really, really hooked me. And when I heard Sarah Slean's music, I went, oh, so there is something in this like singing and playing world for me that maybe I can grip onto, and maybe I can explore. And then the next big discovery was Regina Spektor, who same kind of deal. Her lyrics are they're so interesting that like you really have to kind of listen to the song several
Hmm.
times and really study what she's talking about to kind of get it. And a lot of Regina's early music was quite eccentric, and I really gravitated towards that. Actually, Regina Spektor had an album called Songs that was only really on YouTube. That was where I was discovering a lot of music at the time. Um, and it was, I think this year is the 20th anniversary, and she just released it on streaming like last week or something. So I had a nice walk down memory lane, excuse me, listening to all those songs again. And they're so creative, and they're challenging to listen to in a way compared to what pop music was at the time. But that was really what I wanted in music. So listening to, and then later on, I think I discovered Amanda Palmer also on
Mm.
YouTube, and Fiona Apple was a big one. Tori Amos was a big
Oh
one.
yeah.
And just, again, hearing these women writing lyrics that were, deep and interesting to pull apart and poetic. And then these really, really good piano parts. Um, the gears started turning, and it was that at the same time as the musical theater. Um, yeah, and I still, I've my tastes have expanded over time, but those artists will always be like my absolute favorites, the most inspiring to me.
Yeah, we all have different inspirations and music that we want to, the go-to song. Like, what would be your go-to song when you're not feeling very well, or you're feeling ill, or you just had a hard day? You just listen to the song. Which one would it be?
My favorite song right now, and it doesn't change often, but it's been a couple of years. It's called Sunsick, Sonsick,
Hmm.
and it's by a band called San Fermin, and I
Hmm.
believe, I can't remember where they're from. I want to say New York, but it might be a different state. And
Huh.
there's a very specific live version of it on YouTube, and you should check it out. Oh, is it audio pair something? Hold on, I'm gonna look this up for you because
Sure.
it's
Go ahead.
it's absolutely stunning. Um, and they've got like a brass section and this incredible guest vocalist, and it just, for all the reasons I kind of said, yeah. Okay, San Fermin Sunsick Audio Tree Live. You have to listen to the live version.
Okay.
And just the singer, I'm gonna look up her name now. I'm so obsessed with this song, but this has been like the song for me for a while. Um, who is the singer? I hope I'm not geeking out too much over here.
Why not? Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Ray Cassidy is the singer on this session. They have
Okay.
a rotating cast of singers, so that's also cool. The main composer of San Fermin does not always sing the lead vocal, but
Hmm.
it's very like, and their entire discography again, it's very theatrical. But there's jazz. There's a really like jazz influence, theater influence, brass, nice solid keys part, really addicting drum part, and just the energy of these performers, the melodies, the words, the money notes in the vocal are anyways, check out that recording, Sunsick
I certainly
Audio
will.
Tree
Yeah,
Live by
sounds
San
great.
Fermin.
Um, Talking about the lead singer, what do you think of the new leads? I know this is sort of like outside, but this is like normal conversation usually. I'm not like don't want to make this too robotic, but you know what I mean. But what do you think of the new lead singer of Linkin Park, Emily Armstrong?
Like I watched one video when she was announced. I thought it was good. I think it's kind of like when you have such an iconic singer that you're stepping into the shoes of. I like that they found a female vocalist, because to find, a male singer trying to imitate Chester would have been, I think, tough for people and to accept maybe. So I like that, and I think she does a great job of the material from what I heard. I thought it was good, and I like that she is nailing the style of music, but I like that it's a also clearly a different voice. So I haven't really been following following it since it was announced. What did you think?
Well, I mean, for one thing, I'm a big Linkin Park fan when Chester was around, and he had that voice, you know. And then so many years went by, and then last year, Mike Shinoda decided to release a song from the Meteora album, which was a second album they was I think the early 2000s, and it was supposed to have 13 songs, which included Lost.
Mm.
So the Meteora was released with 12 songs, and when he released Lost last year in commemoration of the memory of Chester, they kind of I don't know what they were doing, but when they announced that the band's reforming, Mike Shinoda said we have a new lead singer, Emily Armstrong. Then the beep hit the fan because Chester's mother was really mad and said, "How can you do this?"
Oh.
But they have a new album called Emptiness Machine, and that song Emptiness Machine is a really good song. And when you listen to it, she does sound like Chester, but a female version.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
It's
People,
Yeah, that's it's really tough, right? Because it's kind of like um Queen, and is it Adam Lambert who's singing with
yeah,
them now? I think, I mean, yeah, on one hand the band could retire forever, but I think it's personally, like, I think it's fair to want to continue.
mhm.
And I think, what other I think they're kind of making the best out of a really terrible situation. And if there's still, music to be made, I think why not,
I know,
but
and I know several bands whose lead singer passed away and then they reformed. Like, okay, but that's how happened over the years because Terry Kath was the original lead singer of Chicago. When he passed away, Peter Cetera became the new lead singer for a while, and now he left, and
mm,
now they have someone else. But people are still big fans of Chicago. But just
yeah.
that this whole thing with Chester Bennington, I mean, like it's one band, but they're all over, all up in arms about it. Um, so, can you tell us about your experience at Humber College, which is just down here, by the way, near Long Branch, really?
Yeah. So I that was a wonderful silver lining of the events of 2020 for me, because I don't think this wasn't in my bio. I actually initially studied science in my undergrad degree at McMaster University, and I didn't end up finishing because I started working as a musician, and I couldn't do both at the same time. So I always wanted to. I was curious about composing and film scoring and having a music degree, but work became so busy that it wasn't really feasible until everything shut down. So in 2020, I did an online graduate program at Humber College in music composition, and I loved it. I'm a very studious personality, I guess. So and especially during that time, when everything was so strange, just having like I wasn't the ideas weren't flowing as naturally as they normally did, just in my own life or in my own mind, I guess. So it was really, really nice to have all these assignments where it said, okay, write a 2-minute film cue for a tense movie scene in which this and this and this happens, like having the really kind of interesting creative assignments they were giving us was great for me. And it was all online. I had a wonderful mentor who gave me some really good advice in terms of like songwriting, but also film scoring. So they were able to find somebody who was able to advise me on all my various interests, like genre wise, but also the film scoring along with the songwriting. And it made a huge difference for me in terms of like filling in some of the missing knowledge that I really wanted to have, just things like making a really legible chart, for instance, or understanding more jazz chords, and just giving me like really something to do during that time. I wrote Christmas Morning while I was a student at Humber. My Christmas song from 2022. I think it's still my best song.
Of headlights rolling down our driveway, sitting by the roaring fire, light on Christmas Eve, in the sweater you outgrew last year and handed down to me, my heart-warming Christmas.
And yeah, I would do it over and over again. That was a really, really wonderful experience there.
Did you live in Long Branch at that time, or did you travel back and forth?
No, well, I didn't have to travel. It was online because it was 2020, the 2020-2021 term. Yeah.
Okay, that's true. So have you ever actually attended Humber College?
Not in person. Like I've been there for events.
Did you do a history lesson on it, or what it actually used to be back in the 20s and 30s?
No.
You ready for this?
It
used to be a mental institution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but
I feel like there's a joke in there somewhere, but
yeah. Anyway, I don't think you can say mental institution. I think it's an institution for people that had problems with their brain. I guess I don't know. But yeah, and you won a Hamilton Award in 2019. What was that like?
That was a really encouraging, important moment for me, actually, because so as I mentioned, I came from a science background. I was expected to go into medical school or something like that.
Yeah.
And when I decided I don't actually like this and I want to do music, it was a kind of a tough thing to do, just in terms of having support and encouragement and not knowing whether or not I could actually do it. So 2019, I had released my second EP, and I had been working very hard, and it was having first of all, the way the Hamilton Arts Awards were structures at the time, you had to be nominated by someone else. You couldn't just apply. So I was nominated by Amy King, who produced my first EP and recorded my second one. And she is somebody I really, really look up to. So that was a nice feeling. And then winning the award was crazy. It felt like probably the first time. It was like at that point, probably it was the biggest encouraging thing to happen to me that really made me feel like, okay, I should continue, because it's very hard being a musician, and especially trying to figure out how everything works when I didn't know any professional musicians growing up. So it's actually, the award is framed, it's actually hanging up in my parents' house right now. But that was a very special moment. And there was, the trophy and the little bit of publicity, but also there was a check that came with that as well. So very, very helpful. And I'm grateful that Hamilton has an event like that to not only encourage their artists, but also to financially support them as well.
Yeah. Just 2017, you came up with the album Our Lives, and then...
Don't listen to it. Don't listen to that one, but it's okay. Yes, that was 2017.
Oh, wow. I've never heard this before from an artist. They want you to listen to all their albums, and here's an artist saying, don't listen to that.
No. Not the first one. Not the first one. I'm learning. Yeah. But yeah, that was 2017. Yeah, my very first try. Yeah.
Yeah. But Once in a Dream, that has 4 songs on it. Once in a Dream is, I believe, one of the songs.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Faded and See. Wow, you're very proficient. You're a great songwriter. I really like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, but when we're talking about Christmas Morning, like, what was the inspiration behind that? Like, what's your song process to put that together?
Christmas Morning is a great example of my songwriting process. Because as I mentioned, it was around age, losing my head again, age 11, 12, where this thing started happening to me where I would just be minding my own business, and then suddenly, like a line of music, it would be like a single line of lyrics with a melody would just materialize in my brain. And then I'd go, oh, that's interesting. And then working from that one line, which is almost never the hook or punchline or title of the song, by the way, it's like building something around that. And then also figuring out, what does this even mean? Because as I said, the line that comes to mind is never the title of the song or the message of the song. To my frustration, it would be so much easier if I knew what I was writing about right from the beginning. So Christmas Morning is another example of that. It was lockdown, and it was getting close to the holidays, and I was at my parents' house, and my parents never turn on the heat. So very, very cold. You can hear my dad being like, we do so turn on the heat. Yeah, not enough. And I had borrowed a sweater from my brother, who is younger than me, but now much taller than me. And the line that popped into my head at that moment was, sitting by the roaring fire late on Christmas Eve in the sweater you outgrew last year and handed down to me, because it was and this sweater is like an old worn out judo sweater. But my brother was like, what sweater were you talking about? And it was like, what, that one? Really? So I built the song from that line, and I think it was pretty clear that it was meant to be a song about my memories of Christmas when we were kids, and how special those are to me. And just diving into the nostalgia of that, and also thinking about how, like, my brother and I are both grown up now and working, and there's a whole lot of less magic, I guess, through the year when you're adults, but something
Mhm.
about going home for Christmas brings that like sparkly, magical feeling back. And that's what the song is about. It's about how special Christmas morning still feels, even now that we're older. So I had a really, really, sentimental time putting some of the things I remember about Christmas as kids into the verses, and then in the bridge looking back at it and saying, okay, well, like now we're all grown up, but when the holidays come around, it feels like nothing has changed. So, and then, yeah, we, after writing it, it was choosing a piano part and making a string arrangement. Drew Jareka's quartet played on it. Um, and that I still think it's my best song. I'm a huge fan of the one I just released a couple of weeks ago because it's more fun and dancey. But Christmas Morning, I think, because of the personal significance, is it's going to be hard to top that one for me.
I know there's like a difference between Christmas Morning and This Christmas Only You and Me, which you said you released 2 weeks ago. But this
Mm,
other one, Christmas Morning's 2 years ago. So you can see the evolution of music and your songwriting process, and you're supposed to grow over time so that your first song, your first album, is totally different and nothing like your newest album. So I can see
yeah.
what you're talking about and the inspiration behind that, because everyone who has a song, an artist, usually there's experience behind the song. Like people write a
Mhm.
song based on a relationship or something. But what do you want people to take away from that song when they hear it Christmas morning?
Oh, I definitely just want them to think about, their own memories of Christmas, and hopefully really um appreciate and not take for granted any time you get to spend with your loved ones over the holidays, because I'm definitely guilty of that. I get and I think I've been like this since I was a kid. I've always been such a motivated, driven, hardworking person that I'd work so hard all year, and then get to the holidays and just want to do nothing and
Mhm.
see nobody and talk to no one. And then it's like, you're telling me we have to go to a different dinner every night of the week for 2 weeks, and it's cold, and like I have to talk to all the relatives and like plaster a smile, you know? So it's very easy to get really overwhelmed by that stuff. But with time and maturity, I guess I've realized that no, even though it's going to be hard to drag myself out of bed, I got to go to these things, and I've got to appreciate the time that I have with my family and my friends during the holidays. And I try really hard not to let the overwhelm of it get to me anymore. So that's what I hope people will take from it. Like, take a second to enjoy your memories, take a second to slow down, and then remember that what is really important is the quality time you get to spend with the people you love.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about, Alex. When I was younger and much younger than you, we used to go for Christmases at my aunts and my uncles, and then parents, and then over the years, it just stopped when you lose somebody in the family and then they're no longer around. And now I meet up with my brothers and sisters up in Barrie for
Yeah.
Christmas. But before then it was here. Before then, and when I was growing up, it was aunts, uncles. So now it's like twice a year. But back when I was growing up, it was 4, 5, 6 times a year. So it was fun. So, but things change.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, how did you get involved with CBC Music? What was that all about?
Oh, I a lot of things kind of happened. Like, so CBC, I think the first time they played my music was, I think it was the end of 2018 or early 2019. It was the first single off of my second EP. So there was a show called In the Key of C that played the song and featured it in a music article, and that was exciting. So I've I've had a little bit of a relationship where I'll send I send them my songs. Sometimes they play it, sometimes they don't. And then it was actually through somebody I met working on when I was doing my film scoring, someone I knew through the film industry who put in my name they were looking for content creators for CBC Music and thought I might be a good fit. I'm a fairly talkative person. I have a lot of things to say about music. So I started making content for CBC Music freelancing, and there's going to be my kind of thing with them has been, I love the stories behind songs. So kind of digging into, like, we've had some other, I've had some other videos that went in other directions, but for the most part, it's finding like interesting or hilarious stories behind hit music that people didn't already know, and talking about that. So we've got like several Christmas songs videos up, and these are just reels that go on CBC Music Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, it's been really fun, just getting to nerd out and talk about music and just give people like a fun little tidbit. Like there's so much negativity, there's so much news that we don't like hearing. So that's kind of how that started. It was just a mutual contact who was looking to produce these social media videos. I think kind of through that and continuing to release my own music, like Christmas Morning got quite a lot of CBC play, which was really exciting for me. And I started, I think one of my videos over the summer, somebody said, oh, that it was about the Olympic theme music. I made a video about how it's been rearranged every year, every Olympics, basically, for the CBC Olympic music. And then somebody decided, oh, that would make a really great article as well. Could you write an article about it while you're making your video, Alex? And I thought, all right, I'll try. So it's been really, really, like, I'm so, like, I've been doing that for 2 years now, my CBC freelancing, and it's still so cool to be able to be part of that, because I've loved listening to CBC Radio like for like a really, really long time. I enjoy the articles and the music, so I'm still kind of like pinching myself that I get to be a part of that.
Yeah, when you got involved in music, what scared you the most about it? Like you wanted to be a musician, but did you ever think about how busy you'd be, whether people would love your music or not? Or like the music industry is like really, some people just walked away from music because of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, my main thing, like, I was really scared to try. I would have tried much earlier. Like I always wanted to be a musician. Like I think I knew from when I remember having the thought of wanting to be a singer at like 6 years old, or maybe even younger. But I think the main thing that scared me about it was just, yeah, the not knowing anything. My family, all, like, pretty well all of them work in science and technology fields. So, and I didn't know any professional musicians growing up who I could reference. Like I knew my piano teacher, and then I knew of celebrities, and I had no idea that there was like where I grew up, there wasn't really any kind of local indie scene going around. So for me, trying to, like, it was in university. I moved here to Hamilton to go to McMaster, and there was a scene, and I could see people, trying to do this. But the perception of people trying to work as, like, there was the starving artist is what people, and not to say that there's no truth to that. Like, it's very, very hard to be a freelance artist. But the opinions of everyone I really grew up with was like, well, if you if you try to do music as a career, you'll have no money and you'll just fail. Right? Like that, there was like no investigating the possibilities. That was just, you know, the opinion that's just what people assumed, I guess, and no one really looked into it any farther. So for me, I'm again, I'm as I said, I'm a very studious person. I'm someone who likes to have a plan and is fairly risk averse, you know, compared to some people in this field, I think. But so it was really, really hard for me to actually make the choice to not do my fourth year of my science degree and to try this instead. And I wasn't able to do that until I had been working in my third year and I had been getting encouraging feedback from people in the Hamilton music industry. And the other thing really was that just emotionally and mentally, like I did not feel that I could continue in science. I was really, really burnt out, and I had I kept going until I couldn't anymore, really. So that was just kind of reaching that breaking point. Was the time that I had to try. And yeah, I was scared of failing and of having to go back and do science. But I reached that point where I knew that I had to at least try, because if I didn't try, I would regret it for the rest of my life. So I wish I wish I could say that I had the, you know, the belief in myself to try it earlier than that. But, you know, I, at least now, yeah, so I definitely didn't fear getting busy. And the fact that I have gotten so busy is just really still makes me very, you know, I feel very lucky and happy to be as busy as I am. That wasn't my fear. My fear, like you kind of said, was that nobody was going to like it, or there was not going to be any work, or that I would have to, you know, go back, tail between my legs and go back to biophysics. But here we are, and yeah, I feel really kind of grateful now that things have gone the way that they have.
Yeah, because look, you got all these songs. You got "I'll Be Home for Christmas." You got "This Christmas Is Only You." You got "Christmas Morning." You got "I'll Be Gone." One day I'll be gone. Like, look at you. I mean, such talent. Amazing.
Thank you.
And then talking about being so busy, of people calling you saying, "Can you sing this? Can you sing that?" And you have to sing live. And then you got a chance to perform at the Toronto Pride, and then
Yes.
you
Yeah.
performed at the Temerty Theatre at Toronto's Royal Conservatory of Music. What was that like for you?
That was so cool. Now, of course, because the Royal Conservatory, you know, me being a classical piano player first, it was so cool to perform there. And it wasn't a classical concert. That was actually a songwriters round concert series that is put on by the Songwriters Association of Canada, SAC. I think it's monthly, and it's hosted by Blair Packham. I'm not sure if you've met him through your... Blair is an established songwriter in Toronto who's written so much excellent music, and is... anyway, so he hosts it, and it was me and Neffy and Lorraine Segato on that show with
Lorraine Segato?
Lorraine Segato.
Parachute Club? You're kidding.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a real pinch me moment. That was really, really cool.
Wow,
So that
Lorraine
it was
Segato,
us.
yeah, Parachute Club, rise up, rise up. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
she performed Rise Up, and that was crazy.
Yeah.
So it was a songwriters round, and then there's me, and so me playing the Steinway, and you know, just so that was what we did at the conservatory, and definitely one of my favorite shows to play ever. Very, very humbling. I have still so much to learn about songwriting, but that was awesome.
Yeah, and then you performed at the Toronto Pride. Like, wow, what was that like?
That was really fun. That was really, 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 it was just a big party. That was a really fun day. I think especially, so the way they were running that stage, like they had people doing different 45-minute sets. And I think it was really cool just to see, like the range of different performers who were there. So I think, I went after like someone who was doing kind of like it was an acoustic guitar, but like acoustic rock set. And then there was, like an EDM, like dance performance. And then I went on and I'm doing like jazz pop on the piano. Like it was a real variety of performers going on. And I loved it. Like I hope I'll get to play there again. And I think that was kind of my first time like performing in a specifically queer event too. So that was exciting for me as well. Yeah, it was, that one was definitely a highlight for me too. I carried, I have the lightest keyboard I own and brought that on the subway train, and then was walking around with it in a very large backpack for the rest of the day.
So are you grade 8 piano, or are you just how far have you gotten?
More than that, yeah. I
Wow,
did. I played all the way to ARCT, so I've kind of
nice.
finished it. I mean, of course, you can go beyond. But when I was studying science at McMaster, I was able to take piano performance as a minor as well. So I kind of went as far as I could with classical. And yeah, I don't know. Of course, playing the music that I'm playing now, I felt I didn't need to continue playing Rachmaninoff and Beethoven, but once in a
Wow.
while I'll pull out, a classical piece and spend a few weeks on it for myself. But yeah, very, very, I still love classical music, but I just kind of ended up in a different lane.
Wow, so you can play Beethoven, Mozart as well, and Prokofiev, and
I can, not as well as I could back in school,
wow,
but I can do it. Yeah.
wow. Did you ever figure out what your vocal range is? Like, are you a soprano?
I'm a mezzo soprano,
Mezzo
so
soprano.
yeah, in the middle. Like in choir, I would usually be put in the alto part. Um,
Wow, that's very
but
impressive. Thank you for giving me that
yeah.
information. So when you put This Christmas, It's Only You and Me, who's the only you part of it?
Oh, I
Hmm?
mean,
Uh-huh.
it could be whoever. I don't know. That's up to the listener, really. I think I mean, it's definitely, the song's a little sexy. Like it's a little romantic. It's a little awkward, like me, but I think it's a little silly. I think,
Right.
yeah, it could be, I think I left it open enough, I think, for the listener to put their own, person to set it for their own situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a great song, both of them actually. Christmas morning, like we discussed, but the only problem with writing a Christmas tune is that you can only play it during Christmas time. Like you wouldn't play This
Sure.
Christmas Only You and Me in July or August. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
probably not. But it's also really nice, like, to have something to promote in December, like, because when everything goes holiday themed,
Hmm.
am I going to? Um, I mean, people of course promote or perform any of their music in December as well, but I think it's nice to be able to lean into the holiday theme this time of year, and that's okay. Like, I've got plenty of other songs I can play the rest of the year, but I enjoy the Christmas season having music to share.
Do you ever walk into like a Starbucks or somewhere and hear one of your songs playing?
I haven't It hasn't happened in a Starbucks, but my mom actually told me she heard me in the bank the other day.
Really?
So that
Wow.
was cool.
Impressive.
She
That's
did it.
cool. Yeah.
And I was going like, why didn't you take your phone out? And my mom is not, her first thought is not social media, but that was
Wow.
cool. Actually, sometimes we have a local radio station here in Hamilton, 93.3 CFMU. So
Mm.
there are times I've been driving in my car and I've heard myself on the radio, which is always crazy cool. Um, but yeah, so far no grocery stores or shopping malls yet, but hopefully one day.
Yeah, one day, why not? So talented you are. And so your classical piano, it's amazing. You a singer-songwriter. You almost got into science. You could have been like a doctor. You could have had degrees at the end of your name or whatever. But now you're composing for a documentary called Beyond the Podium, celebrating Canadian women champions. What was that about?
So that it's out now. It's on its festival circuit at the moment. Excuse me. That was really cool. I and it was so it's a documentary about, well, I mean the title says it all. It's about women Olympians and Paralympians, and
Hmm.
it's super inspiring. Just interviews with these women, and all winter Olympians, by the way, which I was asked to if I would do the score, and it was a really really busy summer for me, and I was kind of going, I don't know if I have time to do this, but I couldn't say no because I did a lot of winter sports growing up, figure skating and ski racing, and some of the, especially the figure skaters, some of the athletes they were interviewing in this movie
Wow.
were my sports idols growing up. And I was like,
Wow.
how can I turn down the opportunity to put some music on an interview with Caitlin Osmond? Like
No.
I can't not do it. So that was really cool. And it was just, the whole movie is extremely inspiring, listening to the challenges these athletes have had to face, not only just in the sport itself, but with women's sports, versus the men's sports, and not being treated, equally, and um, just hearing their passion for what they're doing, which feels a lot like my passion for music, by the way. And yeah, so the movie itself was really, really inspiring to watch. And doing the music, I mean, like when you do music, like the actual experience of scoring, like you get sent the film, and it's a lot of sending files back and forth with the director and saying, here's what I'm thinking here, do you like where this is going, do you not, do you have reference tracks? So and the timelines tend to be very tight too, so it's just about, like, I would, if take some notes, make the edits, send the music back, run out, do some chores, come back 2 hours later, the notes are back, edit it some more, send it out. So it's
Wow.
very much like I've never worked on a movie where the timeline was not tight. So during that time scoring for, I mean, in my limited experience anyway, it's kind of a situation where everything else you have to do kind of has to be worked in around the movie so that it gets finished on time. So, but it's okay. I think it's better that way, because then you don't forget what you were doing or what you were thinking about a certain moment, and you end up watching the movie, 500 times in the process, and then but even so, when it finally debuted earlier this year, it actually debuted at the Westdale Theater, which is just a couple blocks away from where I live. So I just walked down the street and saw it for the 501st time, and was just as impressed by it as before. And I just, once it's done and get to breathe. Like it's really special, especially to be on, on a crew that was all women and non-binary people on this movie, and that isn't the only film I've done where that was the case. So it's just very a very special feeling, I think, to be on projects like that, that are, the film itself is stuff that I care about, but also just, working on projects that go and specifically hire underrepresented groups feels like important work to me as well.
That's very
So just
amazing how they ask you to do all the things. Like you got involved with the documentary "Why Didn't I Leave" as well. Like wow,
mhm, mhm.
that's amazing.
I think that was my first production that was not a student film. So that one was very intense too, just because of the seriousness of the subject matter. And for that one, I did the score, but I was also on set helping with the sound recording when we were interviewing people. So it was again like just difficult to be there and listen to these interviews, and then of course you're focusing on doing your job right, but again really really rewarding, seeing these films premiere and then go and get shown
Hmm.
at different festivals, and then eventually they usually, after they're done with festivals, find a home online somewhere. But
Wow.
yeah, just having the opportunity to work on a story that feels really important, is a good feeling.
What about creative blocks when you want to write new music? How do you, like, what if you just can't think of that lyric or you can't think of that melody? What do you do? Do you go outside, take a walk, or do you just call up a buddy and say, "Hey,
There are a couple different things. I find sometimes, I think for me and my workaholic tendencies, if I've blocked off some time to write a song and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write the song. Like sometimes I do have thankfully lately I've had a lot on my mind. So I can usually think of something to write about that I really like an idea I'm excited about. But during times where there's no idea, I think for me that can kind of happen if I haven't been out living, So um, there's a certain amount of, looking for a topic and then say, okay, I'd like to write a song about such and such a thing, and then spending 10 minutes just free writing about it, and trying to use your five senses and come up with cool sounding words, and then coming up with cool sounding rhymes. And like that's an exercise that can jumpstart ideas. But if I'm really feeling like I'm lacking inspiration, yeah, what I found is I have to go and just go live, go visit people, go see a movie, like go to whatever event is happening in the community, um, because it's not inspiring sitting in here all day and
Mhm.
not going out into the world and actually experiencing things to write about. Those little lyric fragments are not going to be popping into my head if I'm just in here all day. I used to have like the days at school or the days at theater rehearsals, and yeah, so that's been a good fix for me.
you have a
But
dream?
yeah,
Yeah, do you have a dream collaborator? Like, who would you like to collaborate with? I know Sarah Slean, but
Sarah
besides her,
Slean. Ani DeFranco would be cool.
really, Annie DeFranco. Wow.
Just the production on her last album. She released an album this year, and I didn't know that. I just one day I thought I need to listen to an album. That's one thing I really like doing. Taking an hour or less these days, really, and just listening to an album like front to back and just absorbing all of it. And I thought, oh, I feel like Ani DeFranco today. I haven't listened to, and I was fully expecting to go and listen to something from the 90s. And it turns out she released an album this year. And it was so cool hearing how, her writing is as poignant as ever, but it's just still following production and form trends of
Mhm.
now. And I could kind of see how, like, a lot of the songs are just under 3 minutes, under 4 minutes, like we kind of are striving for now. But the production is edgy, it's surprising, it's cool, and it's doing all the stuff like in under 3 minutes. Um and I could it's cool kind of listening to that and seeing, okay, like I can hear how if this was the 90s, she would have put a second bridge in here, and then there would
Mhm.
have been like a piano solo or acoustic guitar solo here, and like she's not doing that now. And the music is just as good. It's just that it's been adapted into kind of what we were expecting from music today, and it's not cheapening it at all, to me anyway. It's no less creative than it was. It's just, anyways, yeah, Ani DeFranco's most recent album, I forget the name of it. I can hear one of the songs called Virus in my head right now. But for that reason, I was just like so stunned by the writing and the production. And I was like, what, how, who thought of this? And I want to do it. Like, it's very dark, like alt poppy, I think. And
Mhm.
super cool. Yeah.
That's interesting. Like, you have an upcoming fourth EP coming up as well. How difficult is
Mhm.
that to create?
I mean, well, it's done. So
Oh, okay.
how difficult was it to create? I think it was, that's a good question. I got to work with two really incredibly skilled producers, Michael Keir and Thomas Hammerton, on this upcoming EP. And I think what's difficult, because I wanted to move my sound for this particular EP into a more alternative, indie alternative kind of world, something a little edgier than what I had done previously, but still with, a whole lot of that tangible emotion that, we talked about before, like coming from theater and things like that. So, and the desire to do that kind of came from me listening to a lot of indie rock and alternative music, and kind of feeling like I like the rawness of that style, but being a classically trained piano player, I wasn't
Mhm.
entirely sure how to fuse those sounds with what I was writing. Um, so I came in with piano demos of the songs
Hmm.
I wanted to record, and then they were able to say, and then and a playlist of artists I thought maybe I would like to sound like going forward if I could. And they were able to make that happen. So the new EP has some synths, it has electric guitars, it has really cool um, approach to the drums, which I wouldn't have been able to think of myself. So was it hard? I don't know if it was, like, not for the reasons you might think, because I had I had a team of really really like talented, knowledgeable people working with me, and I could tell they also really cared about the project, which you don't always feel as an indie artist, kind of funding your own stuff. So I think I decided, okay, I can trust them with it. I know they're gonna, like, what's difficult about it, honestly, is coming up with the money to do it. Because I was in between grants at the time, and a lot of what I do is funded by grants that I apply to, and
Wow.
then you 5 months to see if you get it or not. And um, I really, these were two producers that I wanted to work with for a long time, and who I had contacted in the past and been turned down because they were too busy. So it was really important for me to go, okay, like, they're interested in doing this. I want to make sure this happens because it'll be good for the music. It'll be like, I'm going to learn a lot from doing it, but I didn't have funding to do it. So coming up with the money to pay the producers and pay for the sessions and pay the musicians was hard. And I was doing it at the same time that I was promoting Christmas Morning. Like, it's been done for quite a while now. So it was just kind of like that aspect, like the budget, but also the time budget is tough. Like, I was promoting the Christmas song. I
Hmm.
was at the time driving 2 hours to go to the studio. there and back. Like it was very tiring. But hearing the music take form and what was exciting enough to make me want to keep going. And the music, like the actual labor of making the music, although it was hard work, it wasn't hard exactly. It was exciting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm really shocked. Like you have classical piano, you can do all these like Beethoven, whatever. I'm thinking, why don't you just record and release a classical album? And if you're a mezzo soprano, attempt opera or something, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you know, why not? Maybe one day I will. My third EP, Once in a Dream, is actually classical piano solos. So that I did get to do that, which was again a new thing that I think satisfied, you know, some kind like something for my inner child for sure. And opera, I mean, like, you know, I sang classical music a little bit. I did a little bit of Royal Conservatory vocal training before I became interested in Broadway. And then after the Broadway stuff, of course, I became more interested in a bit of a pop vocal. And I think, why don't I do that? I mean, I do it for fun once in a while down here by myself, but I feel very, I don't plan that hard. I'll write, you know, 50 songs, and then maybe 3 of those songs stick out to me, and then I go, I want to release that. And then, you know, I do like, I try to do what I need to do to make it happen. And I'm very much just driven by, in terms of releasing music anyway, by what is speaking to me the most. And I can't really predict what that's going to be or why. It's just kind of a gut instinct. And so what I've released is what I feel most strongly about, you know, for whatever reason. And I don't really question it, but it's for someone like me who all my life has been a planner and a studier, it's really freeing and exciting to just kind of go with my gut and release what I feel most excited about. You know,
and you gotta enjoy music, and if you stop enjoying it, what's the point, right?
Exactly. It's so hard to do this. If I'm not excited about what I'm doing, like there would be no point. Like, and hopefully, of course, like I do care. Like I really want the music to reach the right people, the people who will enjoy it as much as I do and resonate with it. And it has, and hopefully will continue to reach more and more. Like that is very important. But from, you know, I'm kind of like that first level of deciding that for sure. I'm losing my head again.
That's amazing, Alex. Wow, certainly enjoyed you being here on the platform and sharing with us your musical journey. Before we end this, could you give us a little bit of advice to up and coming Alex Whorms out there?
Wow. I would say it's very hard to do, but I would say something that I've got written on my whiteboard over here, and it is doubting thoughts can be stopped. Really, you know, my main obstacle is definitely self-doubt, and it's something that I continue to have to manage, even though things are going fine. So it learning to kind of recognize, oh, that's a negative thought that I shouldn't think too closely about. I think it would be great for like a younger me or young songwriters to kind of be able to distinguish, you know, okay, that's a doubting thought and it can be stopped. So just anything to encourage a young songwriter not to hold themselves back just because they're not sure if they can do something, don't be so worried about the results that you stop yourself from trying. And yeah, just do the best that you can, do as much as you can, and yeah, just go for it and enjoy the process.
I love that, Alex. Thank you so much. I've learned so much from you. I'm so glad I reached out. And everyone, all her information and music and YouTube channel and Spotify, everything's down below. And um, also, yeah, can contact with her, I guess, or find like
Yeah.
it's difficult. I mean, is your email free to give out or?
Yes, it is. I'll give it to you. alexwhorms@gmail.com. ALEXWHORMS. I love podcasts
There
and
you go.
I'm very talkative. So yeah.
Yeah, you are. I could
Get
keep
in
talking
touch.
for hours.
Yeah.
You got so much to say.
I do. I do. And thank you for being a great host and a great person to have a conversation with, Chris. That was
Oh,
really fun.
anytime. Too bad we can't continue this because it's so. I mean, it's what? It's 5:08 here and it's dark. You might think
Mhm.
it's like. And okay, everyone, we can end this stream. Wait right there.